Hi everyone, Matt Smith here. In this video, we will be discussing the three main edges you need to know as it pertains to drawing form. So I was recently asked if I could create a video where I described form and edge work in a simple, easy to understand approach, and this is kind of what I've come up with. So the three main edges you have, first, you're going to have a soft edge. Two, you have a hard edge, and then three, a firm edge. Now, some of you might have heard of a fourth edge known as a lost edge. Now, a lost edge doesn't deal with form quite as much. It's generally another variation of a soft edge, generally used between two objects. So, edges can be used not only to describe form, for example, but can also be used to describe depth in your drawing or painting, whatever you're working on. But this video is just going to specifically focus on form. So the easiest way to start to understand form is to think about your fundamental shapes. So I have these shapes here to help me describe different edges that you'll be drawing within the human figure. So again, back to our three main edges. First is a soft edge. So generally speaking, a soft edge, as it pertains to form, is going to be something on a much rounder object such as a sphere, because that turn that this form has is much more subtle. So you're going to be using softer edges, again, in much rounder areas. Now, besides just a sphere, if I'm thinking of the human figure or the face, for example, you're going to have like softer edges, like around the cheek as it transitions away from the bone. Around this area will generally tend to be softer. And now for the second edge, we have a hard edge. Now, a hard edge is when you have a very fast turn on an object. So a cube here is going to have all of its edges at very steep 90-degree turns. So that's where you're going to have a hard edge. Now, generally speaking, like on the human figure, there aren't any real hard edges, realistically speaking. Now, we can simplify the human figure, like constructing it out with a cube, but you're not going to find as many hard edges. Where you will find some, though, is where an object inserts. Like, for example, on the nose, where the nostril inserts into the mouth here, you'll generally find, depending on the lighting situation too, you'll generally find harder edges in those areas. And now, your third edge is a firm edge. Now, here a cone is a pretty decent example of a firm edge. In fact, it's actually a very good example of how edges can fluctuate. So like here at the top of the cone where the points are closer together is where it's firmer. As it comes down to the bottom here, it kind of gets wider and the edges will soften up. Now on the human figure, you're going to be using firm edges. Generally speaking, where there's any bony parts in the body, you're going to have some firmer edges, like along the elbows and knees. While like in the nose, you're going to have around the cartilage, much more firmer edges for your drawings. Now that you have a basic understanding of the three types of edges, there are multiple varieties of each type of edge. For example, take a firm edge, you will have softer and firmer edges of a firm type of edge. Edges will be relative to each other. If you have any questions or suggestions on future videos, please leave them in the comments below. Thank you all for watching this video. I hope it was helpful. Again, please check out my Patreon if you're looking for educational drawing videos. I even have videos on how to draw these basic forms and the edges around them. Again, thank you all again and have a great day.